Welcome back to Whitt Acres. Today we're going to be doing some planting in the pergola garden. We have another beautiful dry day here. It's in the 80s and sunny. We haven't had rain in over 2 weeks. The farmer's going around the cornfields right now spraying all the weeds, and I'm coming up here to do some planting, some pruning, and a little bit of planting here in the pergola garden. The last thing we did up here was add the silver lace vine, and I've been really loving the solid look of it. But I haven't done any pruning on it since we did that archway, and I also need to do some pruning on this honeysuckle. It is draping way too far under the ground. I'm going to tighten up the base of it, so maybe I can get some more upward growth and get it to the top of the pergola. I also need to come through here and weed whack down some of these weeds so I can get some control over it, and it'll highlight the plants more. There's a lot of pokeweed, thistle, and viola coming up here next to the calla lilies. We also have a lot of volunteers coming off of this red trumpet vine. So I'm going to be pulling these out of here. I'll probably let a lot of those go to the compost. I was saving some of the volunteers from these vines, but I can't save them all. They just keep dropping a lot of them. I did add a hanging basket up here with some Dusty Miller, some white and red begonias, and then another bird feeder that I found in the garage. I saw it in there and I figured I might as well get it out and put it to use. I have the weed whacker, the hedge trimmer, and the plants I'm putting in the ground today. So I'm going to get started on the cleanup and then we'll talk about the plants. So I got everything inside the pergola cut down, a lot of the stuff outside by the walkway, and then I went down the hostas and out around the hangar. I even went around to the road and did the lily line. Alright, doing all that weed whacking got my allergies acting up. Before we get into the planting, I gotta warn you, some of the plants are not doing that well. So as you'll notice with these few plants that I want to get into the ground today, I didn't have the best germination from my saved seed, and I didn't keep them watered consistently enough to get nice and healthy plants. But what I want to do is get them in the ground anyway, because they're not going to get any better in these trays here. I have a few different types of gourds. I have a snake gourd that came up, some caveman club, one apple gourd. The bushel gourd is not looking too healthy. I think the bugs got to it. I have some cucumber beetles that are jumping around here that have been eating my plants. And then I have a dipper gourd right here, real small, and one turban squash. So with the gourds climbing up, I feel like it's a little bit tropical here at the pergola, so I try and continue that look with some other plants. And this castor bean is one that works pretty well for the tropical look. So the castor bean has a neat looking leaf, and it also has different colors in this different stages of life of the leaf. Bright red stem, and they also bloom and have some seed pods for interest as well. So I want to get a few of these in the ground, probably all of these up here at the pergola, and hopefully they start doing a little better. I also put a few of these out at the front garden last night, and I did some planting in the ramp bed. So I'm trying to poke around at these different gardens. I just figured I'd bring you out here at the pergola garden tonight so we can do a full cleanup and planting, so you know what's actually growing out here, and then we can see the progress as they grow. So obviously the gourds are going to get planted on the outside of the pergola so they can climb up the lattice. I have a garden bed here to the right of the pathway one on the back pathway and one on the far side. So I'm going to plug in those castor bean all over just so we have some nice interest as we walk around the path. I have a pumpkin here that's been struggling real bad in this cup. I figured I'd just throw it in the ground up here for some ground cover. And I also have 2 4-packs of these Shasta daisies that I grew from seed. I'm going to put these next to the driveway so we can have a nice white drift, and hopefully they'll perennialize and come back next year to do better. I don't think those will actually bloom this year since they're started from seed. They actually take a full year before they start to bloom, so those will be really nice next year. Well, we're losing daylight, so we're going to get started on the planting. We got Echo Puppy stalking a rabbit. Darn, bud. You got real close that time. Well, I did get everything in the tray planted, so let's take a look at where they went. Left of the pergola here, I plugged in a drift of the Shasta Daisy, or a row of Shasta Daisy. I have a row of the white daffodils that are already finished up, and I think it'll be nice to have a succession of white coming up with the Shasta Daisies here. Echo already came in here and used this as a little bed area because I moved the wood chips, so we'll see how they come up. Off the pathway here behind that row of Shasta Daisy, I plugged in that turban squash just to give it a spot. It can sprawl out in here and kind of give some ground cover. And then we have the other random pumpkin I had in the cup I plugged in there. And one of the castor bean I put back there to give a little bit of backdrop here between the viburnum and the hydrangea here. Behind the viburnum, to kind of block the storage area, I put another castor bean. Hopefully that one gets big. In the back middle section here in the center thuja green giant, I put a castor bean on either side of that one, and I put one to the right of this thuja as well behind the hosta. So we have 5 castor beans in the pergola garden. The gourds, starting on this side, we have the apple gourd. And then coming in here, I have 2 gourds here that I pulled out of the cold frame, and they're volunteers, and I plugged them in. So I think they're probably birdhouse gourds, but I'm not sure. In between those is one of the Caveman Club gourds, and then to the right of them is 3 more of the Caveman Clubs. And then right here I put in the dipper gourd, and beside that a snake gourd. While I was dumping out all the trays, I found out one of the snake gourds actually germinating, so I threw the seed in the soil there. So hopefully we'll get another snake gourd to pop up around the corner. And then I have this whole side of the pergola with nothing on it. So what I'm thinking is I have some extra purple hyacinth bean vine I started from seed, and I think they'll look good going right here on the pergola, being able to climb up and add some different color here, and then the burgundy seed pods in the fall. Besides the gourds dangling, we don't have much interest up here in the fall, except for the new vine that we just plugged in at the base of this post. So the sweet autumn clematis vine seems to be doing well after we transplanted it here. I'm working on getting it to climb up, but it's just getting started. I do fully expect that to get to the top of the pergola this year and put off a nice white show of flowers. So I'm also out here getting my dahlias in the ground so they can start setting some roots. They've been in the garage far too long overwintering, and I really want them to grow this year. So I have a little bit of compost left over here from my first load. I need to get another load to actually plant these into the cut flower garden and get it ready. So while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to set these all in the ground here next to the poplar bed. I have some tall red ones, some regular red ones, and some purple ones. So I'm going to moisten them a little bit with some pond water just to get them activated, and then cover them up with a little bit of compost. Not fully plant them, just put enough compost on them so they can hold some moisture and maybe start setting some roots until I can get the cut flower garden ready and get them planted out there. So I've been worried about my dahlias that I wasn't going to get any this year, but they feel pretty firm. I was thinking that it might be too late for them, but I'm going to get them in the ground anyway. Plants like to grow, so if there's still some life in them, I think they're going to grow. I'll give you an update on them later, see if they start growing. So we got the pruning done and the planting, and I'm thinking about coming in here soon and adding the supports for the swing in here so we can actually get some seating inside the pergola. So as things grow up, we can actually come out here and enjoy the setting it provides. Hey little Robin, you trying to bring food to your nest? So I think that's going to be all for today. We got some planting done, some pruning done, and some planning for the future here. I'm going to let that robin get into her nest. If you like some gardening videos, make sure to subscribe down below. I have a lot of them. Hit that like button before you leave, and you can see me and Echo on the next one. Thanks for watching.